opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
What is up, everybody? Welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point, brought to you by that big logo on top of our heads, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. Anthony Hartwig with you, and as always on Wednesdays, the sidecar, Scotty Mincher joining us. Scotty. We have the pleasure of saying goodbye to July today and bringing in August. It's the last day of the month.
Yeah, it's I guess in ways it's hard to believe, and in ways it's not that hard to believe. But I gotta say, I like that you referred me to the sidecar, not the sidekick, but the sidecar. That
No,
was
you're the sidecar. You're right there. You're right next to me. I'm driving the motorcycle, and you're right next to me, man.
Yep.
Along for the ride, because I don't trust you to drive the motorcycle, Scotty. I'm sorry.
That's fair.
That's fair, right? You might take us, you might take us to Cleveland. I don't want that kind of road trip.
Hey, your Chiefs are gonna be there eventually. So
Late season. That's too cold for me.
you're
I'm
not,
a fair weather
you're
football
not
fan.
gonna get tickets.
No way. That's too cold.
Okay, too cold.
Too cold. I'd rather sit at home in the fireplace.
Well,
Watching TV.
there's a lot of talk, and I don't want to get into, I want to keep it local, but there is a lot of talk that the Browns, but in 2028 or 29, will have a dome. So
Wow. They're trying to get a Super Bowl, aren't they?
I think they really won the Super Bowl, yeah. So we'll see what happens.
I was just hoping when I saw that the Chiefs were not only coming to Cleveland, but they're also going to Pittsburgh. I was like, give me a early in the season day. I can go there, not be freezing my butt off for the whole time. And they're like both in December. I think the Steelers game is on Christmas Day. And like the Browns game is also pretty late in the season. I'm like, oh man. No. I don't want to, like, it's so expensive to go to a football game, and then you go and you're not comfortable at all because I hate the cold. To my core, I hate the cold. Like everyone, the heat. I will take heat over cold every day of the week, every week of the year. Like, doesn't matter. I want warmth. I don't want cold. So to pay that kind of money to go out there and sit in sub-freezing temperatures for 3 or 4 hours, no thank you.
Yeah, it's not fun, that's for sure. Fun if you're watching on TV.
It's probably fun if you get really drunk and then you can't feel the cold anymore because nothing around you matters. But as all of you know, I don't drink, so there's another check mark against it. I see all these people like with their shirts off in the cold. I'm like, you have to be drunk. There's no way you're not. Like,
you're a good boy. You're like you don't swear, you don't drink. You're a top of the line citizen, role model.
I haven't been dragged down by the heathens yet.
Hey Anthony, you're a role model. Get it?
But I'm They see me rolling.
They hating.
I know that's our song, right? Scotty, we have a lot to have fun with today. Not a lot to recap, but we do have something to recap, which is fun. Which is the Junior League World Series still continuing in Kirkland, Washington. Our Junior League representatives with the Steel Valley All Stars, which is, by the way, a team, if you're just new to it, made up of players from Boardman, Canfield, Poland, and Struthers, all local. They got their first win in pool play, 10-0 yesterday over the Washington representative. So the home team, I guess you could say, in the World Series. 10-0 the final score. So the first win in pool play, bouncing back from the loss on Sunday. So they're now 1-1 in pool play. And Gia Verona, Scotty, had herself a day both in the circle and at the plate. You talk about in the circle, she went 5 innings of shutout softball, just 1 hit allowed, 10 strikeouts on the day as well. They did bring in Justice Parrish to do the last inning of work and clean things up. But what a day for Gia. And then also on the offensive side, Scotty, if a shutout, 1 hit shutout with 10 strikeouts wasn't enough for you on the day, she also hit a 2-run home run as a part of their offense in the 10-0 victory. So Gia Verona, what a day for her.
Doing it all, doing everything. That is quite an impressive day.
It's a good stat line, I'd say. I think that'll get you a good car ride home.
Yeah, that's a video game stat line.
If coaches can find something that she did wrong in that game, God bless them. They are nitpicking at the elite level.
Well,
Not the only off.
how could she give up 1 hit? I mean,
Yeah, like how dare you? Come
how,
on.
how dare her?
Wasn't the only offense in the game for the Steel Valley All Stars. You had Kit Testa, who had a good day with a pair of doubles. Emma Bocherry had a double as well. Mylena Molenkoff, 2 drove into with a double. And you had Sydney McDonald, she doubled. Um, Paris, who pitched the last inning, she had a triple. And then we all knew Verona hit the 2-run home run, which brought in a pair. And then Ali Blinsky had 2 hits as well. So a lot of offense for the Steel Valley All Stars in the Junior League World Series, representing that Central region. They will return to action tonight against Latin America. I should say today at 1 p.m. It should be happening right now. And then they will also play the West Virginia team at 7 p.m. Both games can be seen on ESPN Plus. So because of the weather that happened on Monday, forced to play a doubleheader today to fit things into the schedule.
Double dipping. Always look forward to double headers, man.
Double dips, especially when you're young. It's a lot easier when you're 13, 14 to double dip than when you're, 20 going on 30.
Yeah, for sure.
These young kids, they can play like 5 games in a day. They'd be fine.
Yeah, they're fine. They're like the
Everything's fine.
Energizer Bunny.
So we'll see how the Steel Valley All Stars do today. We want to wish them the best of luck, and also remind you that the Austintown All Star team in the 12U, still in the Little League World Series, they will start their run on Sunday night against the Mexican representative for the Little League World Series. That'll also be on the ESPN family of networks as well. So they're having a send-off tonight. If you're interested in wishing the Austintown softball team good luck on their way to Greenville, North Carolina. 6 o'clock at the high school in Austintown. You'll be able to see them, send them off on their way, and wish them luck as they go to their second straight Little League World Series.
Anthony, so I got a question for you.
I got a question. Okay, Scotty.
Off of that, talking about the Little League World Series. What's your favorite as far as, because you know how they'll introduce the players and then they'll like state their favorite movie or their
Yeah.
favorite baseball player or whatever. Um, what's your, like, what would be your, if you could go back to 10 or say 13-year-old Anthony, like what would you pick, what category, and who would, like, what would be your favorite, what would it
Well,
be?
I don't know if the players could pick. I think they probably all answer all the questions, and then they just get the broadcasters probably pick one to talk about. But like I'll just go over some of the favorites that I've seen. Like they've asked them favorite snack when I was 10. Still favorite snack. Like I love. Let's see, like Teddy Grahams. I think would probably be something I'd go with as a 10-year-old. Love me some. They have to be the honey Teddy Grahams. The honey Teddy Grahams are legit. When you go favorite movie back then, all about Jurassic Park. I was a dinosaur kid through and through, so I would have said Jurassic Park like 10 days out of 10 when I was 10 years old. Still a really good movie. I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite now, but still awesome, like nostalgic classic.
Dun,
Um,
dun, 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 dun.
yes, Scotty, let's go. No copyrights, please. Don't strike it. Don't attack us, Universal. Where we that was not a rendition. That was not an orchestra.
I'm sorry, I just
That was
had to.
awesome. That was awesome. Get it, Scotty.
I couldn't
Um,
let the opportunity slip.
totally sidetracked. Favorite athlete back then, um, as a 10-year-old, the Chiefs had. I'm trying to line up to make sure that was when I was 10. Oh yeah, definitely 2003. I would have been right around that age. Priest Holmes, dude. Like I had a dude for the Chiefs, man. I had his jersey. I had like 3 Priest Holmes posters in my room. Every time I did something in school, I'd do the whole this, because I was just a loser. Like anytime in gym class, any one of my teams scored, I'd do the whole Priest thing. Um,
He
I
was
was
a
wild.
halfback, right?
He was the Chiefs running back, and I
Yeah.
would argue one of the best 3-year stretches that any running back has had in national football, NFL history. I mean, he was hurt in Baltimore. They kind of threw him aside. We got him from really 2001 up until I think he officially left Kansas City and kind of retired in 2005. But you look at what he did from 2001 to 2002 and 2003, and that like 3-year stretch, it's really unbelievable what he was able to do as a Kansas City Chief in those years, especially a rejuvenated career when Baltimore threw him aside for the next best thing, which was Jamal Lewis, which was a pretty good running back in his own right, like no shade there. But it was almost like for the 90s and 2000s, the Chiefs were like the island of misfit toys for running backs. The running backs that no one else wanted anymore, thought their career was over. They come to Kansas City and prove to everybody that they're still alive. Like, Marcus Allen did it. He was there for a lot of the 90s. And then Priest Holmes comes up in the 2000s and says, my career's not over just because you get a new shiny toy. It was fun. It was fun times. But Marcus Allen, I know a lot of people back then for the Chiefs think of Tony Gonzalez. He was cool, but I was all about Priest Holmes back then. That was my dude.
I don't know. Maybe it's like I didn't watch him religiously, so I don't know if you had the
What?
same.
You weren't a Chiefs fanboy back in the 2000s? What are we talking about?
Not quite fanboy status,
Dang, come on,
but
Scotty.
the name that popped in my head too was Jamal Charles.
Yeah, he was after Priest Holmes. He was actually,
Yeah.
went Priest Holmes, and then we had Larry Johnson, who was really good for a couple of years. I think we ran him into the ground because that was back when we just didn't have an offense outside of him. So he had like more carries in 3 years than I think like anybody had in a long time. I think he actually broke the NFL record for carries in a season one year. for Larry Johnson, and then Jamal Charles came up. He got us through the tough years. Like he was our running back in 2012 when we were like 2-15. Like he was the only bright spot. I remember going to when we played in Cleveland that year, and I think he took the first play to the house, and it was the only score of the whole game, and we lost like 34-7. But the first play of the game was a Jamal Charles like 80-yard run for a touchdown.
Um, I really think if it's possible, a Chiefs player could be underrated nowadays. I mean, because they're like pretty much a dynasty.
Mhm.
But I really think even Isaiah Pacheco now
Pop.
may be underrated.
Yeah.
He and his running style, it's just a lot of fun to watch. It reminds me, I don't know if you probably didn't catch this, Sam, but when Baker Mayfield was still in Cleveland, and this was, and we're getting dangerous now.
Leave it to Scotty to work the Browns into the conversation.
We're getting dangerous early. But when he was still in Cleveland and Kareem Hunt was in his prime, not Kareem Hunt now, they asked him about his running style, and he said Kareem Hunt runs like the Tasmanian devil.
Kareem Hunt was in his prime in Kansas City.
He had some really good years in Cleveland. But
Hell no, Scotty. I think he was in his prime before, we booed him because, he did some really, bad stuff. And we're like, get out of here.
he did lead the league in rushing in Kansas City.
Let's get back on track. What were we talking about? Oh, my favorite athletes. My favorite athletes. Definitely but it's a baseball one. Usually those kids give a baseball answer. And back then there was a guy that played for the Royals. I think my years are so messed up. But Mike Sweeney was a dude for the Royals. He was the guy. He was a franchise guy. I mean, the Royals were bad. They were always bad back then. But he was what Salvador Perez is to the Royals now. He was a guy that's never going to leave Kansas City. He was Royal through and through. You knew he was the guy that could come up and hit home runs. He was the franchise back then. So if I was going to say a baseball player, because most of those kids keep it baseball because they're in the Baseball World Series, Mike Sweeney would be my guy.
I'll throw. I don't know if you'll remember this name, but because I got a few years on you, and I'm really old. But one of my favorite throwback Kansas City Royals players and throwback baseball players was Jermaine Dye.
Jermaine Dye. That's not too long ago. When we had the outfield, we could have had it lined up if we didn't get rid of our guys. But we had, at one point in our franchise, we had Jermaine Dye, Jason Giambi, and Carlos Beltran. That could have been our outfield.
That could have been legendary. Close to legendary.
But we were always terrible, so it didn't really matter.
But yeah, I think all those answers you gave, I could definitely.
I want to know your side, Scotty. Favorite snack as a 10-year-old, favorite movie as a 10-year-old, and then what your 10-year-old favorite athlete would be. We have to reverse it on you.
Okay, so favorite snack as a 10-year-old, which there's always so many great snacks, but I would probably go with really putting me on the spot, but I would probably go. Do you remember the little stick things they would give you that? It was
this is going. This is dangerous.
The cheese.
You mean almost like they were you dip them.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did. That was one of my
The
favorites.
cheese was healthy, but then they had ones with the cream that you'd like dip them in icing and eat them too.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Those were
I
fun.
love those.
I forget what they were called.
I loved. There's the pizza rolls now. The
Tosticos, or what are they called?
Tostinos, yeah. But
Tostinos.
before that, there was the bagels, the and I'm
Pizza
sure they still
bagels.
make them.
Okay.
Pizza bagels were up there as well. Um, and
Were you a Hot Pocket guy?
I was not a hot pocket
Okay.
guy. Not a hot pocket guy, but also fruit snacks. I loved.
Now, are
Fruit.
we talking like the Scooby Doo fruit snacks, the Welch's fruit snacks? Where are we going with this? Because there were some really good ones.
Yeah, I would say probably I like the Welch's because I
Those,
felt like they were shaped like the
yeah,
actual fruit, and they
I feel
taste.
like
Yeah,
those Scooby Doo fruit snacks like hit different. Like the one everyone remembers them. Like they came in the obviously the shapes of the Scooby Doo characters, but they were like a little bit gummy. I liked them. I liked them. You know what else I was a sucker for? Fruit by the foot, man. The red
oh,
fruit by the foots.
is the was wait fruit by the was that like fruit roll ups
Fruit
basically?
roll ups was like you get the sheet, which they were good. They were harder to eat in my opinion, but the fruit roll ups were like a roll, right? And you just kind of like a foot long roll, and they kind of like tape, kind of like a
Okay.
fruit tape, and you unroll it and you kind of eat it. You know, are
Um.
you getting the mental picture, or do you not know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fruit
I
by the
got
foot.
you now.
Yeah,
Fruit by the foot.
the red fruit by the foot. The red fruit by the foots were really good.
I remember now.
And then you couldn't eat them without playing with them. So you're like me, like wrapping them around, trying to swing them and helicopter them and everything.
Yeah. Also, I know I'm giving you too many, but you talked about Teddy Grahams earlier.
Honey Teddy Grahams, man.
Teddy Grahams they're great. Don't get me wrong, they're great. But I also the other day I felt like my inner child in me, I could feel them again as I was eating these, but just traditional the animal crackers. Love
Oh,
me some
okay.
animal crackers.
Yeah, those are good. I like the frosted ones. Remember
The
the frosted
frost,
animal crackers?
yes, those are really good too. So what was the other one? Movie and
Favorite movie when you were a 10-year-old?
I would probably have to say, off the top, I'm just trying to, because I watched a lot of movies, but it's still relevant now to this day. But one that would definitely be up there, I'd probably say it'd be my favorite was just Rocky, man. Um, yeah. But I was weird though. Like when I was 10, my favorite one was 4. I know a lot of people say that's one of the worst.
What?
Was the 4th one
Oh, Rocky 4.
when he fights Ivan Drago.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, a
See, I
lot
like
of
Rocky 3 because Eye of the Tiger, man. It's classic.
Survivor, Clubber
You
Lane.
know, who wouldn't want to fight Mr. T?
Yep, Clubber Lane. I like when they in the movie when they ask him, they're like, "How about a prediction for the fight, Clubber?" And he's like prediction. He's like pain,
Pain. And then
pain.
Rocky 3 is the one where it ends in the freeze frame, which is iconic.
Yeah, with Apollo and
Right. They're like,
Roger.
all right, you ready, man? Let's go. And then it's like that freeze frame right there that has been
Yeah.
parodied and redone throughout pop culture.
It also featured Hulk Hogan,
Yes.
Thunderlips.
That reminds me. There was a movie back in the day. It was like an early '90s movie. I don't know how many people really know about it, but Hulk Hogan was like he was trying to build an acting career like The Rock, but he wasn't successful. It was called Suburban Commando.
Oh, I've heard.
It was
I've never,
hilarious. I don't know
I've
if it was.
never. But do you remember?
I don't know if it was supposed to be funny, but it was hilarious.
Okay, because I've never seen that one, but
That's great.
I saw with him and Sherman Hemsley from um, the Jeffersons. It was the Mr. Nanny. Do you remember that
Mister.
one?
Something about putting these big tough wrestlers in like roles where they're like pathetic and or just completely against what their type is. Like when they tried to make The Rock into the Tooth Fairy. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, Shaq was a genie.
You're right.
Uh,
Kazam. The
Sam.
rapping genie.
Yeah.
That was I tried to block that out of my memory. That one was not good. But
Yeah.
Suburban Commando, man, hidden gem of the early '90s.
It was
You
pretty.
go look at the trailer itself is just funny enough, but then if you watch the movie, it's hilarious.
I know you're not you're not an NBA fan, but
Not really.
do you watch well, yeah, because you said you watch Love and Basketball.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
You know what people tell me is good, that I still have never seen, but they say it's a good movie. And actually, Tupac, the late Tupac Shakur, is in it. It's called Above the Rim. Have you seen that one?
Above the Rim. I don't think I've seen that one.
Okay.
I've seen like
Uh,
when I think of like older basketball movies, like the one that pops in my head like is Hoop Dreams, but that's like a documentary.
yeah,
And then like White Men Can't Jump, the old one, not the new remake
Wesley
with
Snipes.
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
There weren't too many Hoosiers, of course. Like you can't leave that one out, but like the basketball movies, I felt like got a real revival when Space Jam came out, and then everyone was like, "Oh, basketball is cool. Let's make basketball movies." But to be fair, before Michael Jordan, basketball went through a period where it was ho hum. It was dead. You know, people really weren't interested in basketball. And then
Guess
Michael Jordan came back and kind of put everyone in love with basketball again, made Space Jam, which wasn't a
no,
realistic basketball movie, but still a basketball movie. And then people were like, "Oh, we could put basketball on film and make it interesting." And then you got just a slew of basketball movies from then to now.
no BS, but I was like Michael Jordan. He was pretty much like somebody I idolized.
Mm-hmm.
Growing like
So
he
that would
got
be your favorite athlete when you were 10. That's what you would say, Michael Jordan.
yeah. And he would be my favorite athlete, and I actually, because of that, I love Space Jam.
Mm-hmm.
And for my 8th
Solid movie.
birthday, my mom bought me a Space Jam cake. I had a Space Jam cake on my birthday.
I love the scene where they're on the putting green will forever be hilarious when he's taking a picture, and then he gets sucked into the hole, and the guys are like, "What kind of camera you got there? Let me see that. Don't point that at me.
Yeah.
Don't point that at me. Get this. Throw the camera away." That
is
in the end, when they asked Bill Murray, "How did you get here?" I'm friends with the producer. That
yeah.
little fourth wall break right there. I just snorted like a loser.
And then
Little fourth wall break right there.
Danny DeVito, the villain,
Yeah.
voiced by Danny DeVito.
That's classic.
He's like, hey, he's like, I didn't know Dan Aykroyd was in this picture.
And then the part that I wish was a meme, I wish I could get on it like a GIF and put it out there all the time because it's a great response. Is when the score keeps going, and then it pops up like kind of one sided, isn't it? I wish that was a little GIF that I could keep putting when things get out of hand, or a team that I like is blowing someone out, because that would be hilarious. That's a hilarious.
You know what? One of my favorite scenes is when the monsters, they're like dominating the game. It's before the turnaround because of and Daffy Duck gets like smushed, and he's like, "Mommy, I don't want to go to school today.
I want to
wanna
stay home and bake
go
cookies with
bake
you.
cookies with you."
Great times. We are having a lot of fun here on Running Point. We're going to take a commercial
much
break,
fun.
though, bring it back to reality, pay some bills, and hear from our sponsors. Me and Scott will be back really quickly on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun, it all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin. Down right above our heads right there, you can see them. If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, make sure to head out to Greenwood Chevrolet. They will take care of you better than anybody else, and their tagline is always, they'll go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. Scotty, it is time to figure out the most dangerous question in all of online streaming, buddy. What is on your mind?
Let's get dangerous.
Let's do it, buddy.
So, Anthony, I was thinking quite a bit about this today, and I know the Olympics this year have been very polarizing for, and
many reasons.
Yeah, and we'll keep it light today. So,
whoa.
Yeah,
got like 2 hours to go over the Olympics.
Yeah, we're gonna avoid that topic, but as far as I was thinking, and I was thinking about some of the obscure sports, and I wanted to know, and what is an obscure sport that you're kind of like most intrigued by? And then I also wanted to know if you could pick one local athlete right now that you would have as your teammate in one of those obscure sports, if you could pick one, a boy and a girl, who would you pick?
I have watched every single medal round of fencing. So I guess fencing is that answer, because it's like it's so quick. Like, oh my gosh, you watch these like movie sword fights and they're going on for like 3 minutes long, and like in reality, a sword fight's like maybe 2 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just how fast these guys move at each other and the quickness of fencing. It's very fun. I have enjoyed watching it. When it comes to athletes that I think would be good at fencing, oh, that's hard because I don't even know what to compare it to. You need quick strike ability. So I'm trying to think like, what other sport do we cover that I see like really quick strike that I know that can, don't have to have a lot of endurance. You just have to have that ability to just hit really fast.
Basketball?
Maybe basketball, like the drivers, the people that can just go at you. That's gonna take some time to think, Scotty. That was not on my bingo board today.
I know. I'm grilling you.
I know and then you get mad at me for doing the same thing to you.
The tough ones.
Scotty, while I'm thinking, tell me your obscure sport that you've been watching a lot this year.
Well, I would say I've been really into the ping pong.
Ping.
We
have an American that's pretty good.
So I would say ping pong, and I would also throw in there I've also been intrigued by badminton. And I don't know. This isn't so much an obscure sport, rather than it is just an extreme. But I've really enjoyed the surfing.
You just like watching Tahiti.
I mean, beautiful.
You just wish you were there.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to.
Part of it.
I'm still trying to think of athletes that would be good at fencing. I'm gonna say girls. I'm gonna go with Mackenzie Riccatelli from Boardman.
I figured you were going there. Read my mind.
And then with guys, I don't want someone that's like big and stout, because I feel like that would be hard to move your body quickly. So I'm trying to think of like a small, quick guy. Dom Cruz, Canfield.
Dom Cruz.
Yeah. Plus, he's got an action star name, so it works. He can put a sword in his hand. He'll be fine. Buddy, what about you? I'm gonna say, because your first one was ping pong. Give me athletes that you want on your ping pong team.
Okay, so I would probably go. Again, I know it's biased because
you're gonna pick a Lowville person, aren't you?
No, but I'm doing because we did the game and I was super impressed. We did the game together. I would go Mackenzie Gamble.
I'm gonna have to research her ping pong ability. I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna be like, hey Kens, how good are you at ping pong? Because that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, you're like, can you carry the pick up the slack? Because like Scotty doesn't he doesn't have the dexterity.
Scotty, no, you don't have the privy information I have, but we talked to a lot of those Canfield softball players this year, and a lot of them said they were good at pickleball. So pickleball is like the closest thing you can translate to ping pong. So you feel like maybe one of them, maybe a Leah Figueroa, maybe a Sydney Lutz, maybe could be really good at ping pong if they're already dabbling in pickleball.
Yeah,
But you've already made your choice.
I always, and this is another one that might surprise you a little bit, but I always was a fan of Mary Brandt too.
Okay, well, she's good at everything. That's just that's a cheat code. You could
Yeah,
put her on the U.S. equestrian team, and she would probably kill it. So, give me a guy for your ping pong team.
Man. I don't.
Nah, it's not fun, is it?
This is recency bias. This is recency
Shocker,
bias.
Scotty, with the recency bias. That's not anything
Because I just love when we got to interview him, and I just love his, like, he was charismatic, had great personality, and he just attacked, like he just was one of those guys, entertaining. So I'd probably go Marky Stancourt.
Okay, well, that's 2 weeks in a row you've picked him. You're gonna have him on your all everything team.
Yeah, and I'd also go. Man,
wait, we picking two people now? You picking a whole team?
Okay. I'll keep it in one. It's hard to pick one, but
You want a ping pong's doubles team?
Yeah.
Oh man, Scotty, that's fun. We got time. What else is on your mind? We have some time.
All right, yeah, we got 15 minutes. So I was also thinking about Anthony. I was jotting some notes down today before the show, and there's been a lot of talk about the MLB, the trade deadline, the winners and losers, and so to speak. And kind of going off of that, and not so much, we're just gonna exclusively focus on winners here, but and we still got the fall sports season to go, but who would you say you could throw team and individual wise? Who would you say some of your biggest winners would be?
Scotty, I don't mean to dampen your topic, but I got to be honest, I don't know who did what. Like, I've been watching the Olympics, and I'm not even entirely sure all the people that the Royals got, to be honest. Like, I know we just signed someone from the White Sox while we're playing them, which is kind of awkward. I think we got someone from a pitcher from the A's, I feel like, but like names. And I know there are people complaining that the Guardians didn't do as much as their fans wanted them to do. But right now they're the best team in baseball. So it's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And
But Anthony, I'm sorry, I should have clarified. I meant more specifically on a local scale.
Oh, well, what do you mean? Like, who won what? Like, what are we winning? I thought you were talking about the trade deadline.
Yeah, I should I don't know. I guess I could clarify it by saying which athletes do you think? Because you've done a lot of interviews with athletes signing on to other schools and getting scholarships and stuff like that. I watched a lot of your interviews and things like that. So, who are some people? I know you've done a ton of them, but off the top of your head, that you think that you're really not so much that you're putting like a certain expectations level, like they're immediately gonna be a star, but who do you think um, has the potential to continue what they've done in their high school career? Like, who do you think is best, most equipped? And I guess if you want to get more specific with it, so you don't have to think about all sports, going back to track and field, since track is a big part of the Olympics now.
So you're saying what athletes that we cover are going to most be ready to compete at the next level? So we're talking about kids that have gone and signed on to a college, and you're asking what athletes do I think have the biggest chance to succeed at the next level now that they're graduated from high school? Am I
Yeah,
understanding that right?
yeah, you exactly.
Okay. Comes to mind that let's see. Melena Toth going to Buffalo from Canfield, graduating from Canfield, starting her career at Buffalo. That's like, Melena Toth can do whatever she wants. Like, faith in that girl to go and succeed, astronomical. I mean, anytime you tell her that she can't do something or that she's not good enough to do something, it's just motivating her that much. So she's going to go to Buffalo, and I'll tell you, one of the things that every athlete has to know, especially when they're going to a bigger school, a bigger D1 school, they have the technology and the resources to really pick apart your game. So you're going to feel like for the first couple months, like you don't know anything that you thought you knew about your sport. Because they'll go, like from Lena Toth, they'll go and they'll break down her pitch, they'll break down her efficiency, how her muscles move, and they will tweak stuff. They will say, hey, we need you to start doing this instead, or we need you to start adjusting this. This isn't good enough. You need to get faster here, better here. They will really dive into that, and it will make her feel for a minute at least like, oh shoot, I am really not that good. That I've talked to enough college softball players to know that you will go through a moment where you're like, oh dang, what happened? I thought I was good at this sport. You got to get through it. And someone that I think will get through that mindset, because she lost a state championship and then came back the next year even more motivated to get back there and to win it and to prove everyone that she belonged on that stage with that trophy, is Melina Toth. So I think that that's a good pick right there for the athlete that has moved on from the YSN family, that has a really good chance at competing at the next level right away. I can't wait to see what she does in the MAC. When we talk baseball, I'm trying to the classes, Scotty, wash. Like I'm trying to remember who's seniors, who's not. One of the kids that comes to mind, and I'm sorry that it's going to sound like I'm being a homer because we talk about South Range so much, and I'm a South Range alum, but Tyler Wardle going to Grove City, I think that's like a perfect place for that kid. I've been to that campus a lot. I've talked to people that have went to Grove City. I think his personality just lines up exactly with what you're going to get out of an experience from Grove City. So I think not only is he going to thrive physically on the field, but one of the big things about especially baseball, like if you're not thriving mentally, you're not going to succeed physically. So I think mentally wise, it's a perfect fit for him to be on that campus. So I think he's going to be one of those kids that goes there to Grove City, immediately makes an impact, and we're going to be hearing his name on that team for a while.
And yeah, and I gotta say, in fairness, I haven't asked you exclusively about South Range in a while, but
You have.
it's hard not to not to be a homer, right? I
Hey,
mean,
you went to that school. You just know a tick more about everyone there because it's
yeah.
your family, it's your community. But Tyler Wardle, no matter what high school he went to, he's had a good summer in Class B with the athletics team that went to the Class B championships, beat the Astro Falcons out of the playoffs. He had a good run in the NABF. He's a good hitter. He's a good attitude. He's a good personality, and I think he's at a place where he will thrive. He will thrive at Grove City. I have no problem believing that.
And I mentioned Mary Brand
Brandt going to
earlier.
Robert Morris. Yeah, that's a good call too. I mean,
Yeah.
Mary, coming off a little bit of an injury this season where, she had to miss the last chunk of her basketball season. And then she had to miss the first couple weeks of the softball season. And it just felt like the whole season she was battling getting into that rhythm. But now she gets a whole summer and fall really with Robert Morris to get that rhythm and hit that stride again. So I'm really excited to see what she does. Hopefully not too good against Youngstown State. But hey, we'll root for her anyway, even though she's going to be a rival now to Youngstown.
And do you think there's like certain, especially with all the, I guess I'll ask this specifically. Do you think when you talk about like any of these sports, like do you think when it comes to the one the best, and that's softball, do you think one of the easiest transitions is a pitcher? And because
You
not
mean
much.
like transition from high school to college?
Yeah, I'm
No.
just saying in comparison to other sports.
No, it's hard because you got to think when you're pitching in high school, or even if you're a part of a really big travel team, the teams you play, especially in high school, the teams you're pitching against might have one or two, maybe if you get to state 3 or 4 players that are at this level where you're going to be. Now, if you're going to like Sydney Watts or Gabby Bradshaw, or both going to Power 5 schools,
yeah,
you're going to be playing teams that are 1 through 9, the absolute best cream of the crop. You cannot take any breaks. There's no one that you can say, oh, I can just kind of flub this pitch in there. They won't hit it. You can get away with that in high school. You can get, there's a huge transition as a pitcher. Your velocity is not going to blow people away anymore because no matter what level you're on, these hitters are used to seeing 60s, 65. They're going to be fine. You're not going to blow people away. You're going to have people catch up to your velo, which means you gotta find other ways to get people out. I think these pitchers that are so used to strikeouts, these strikeout pitchers like Sydney Watts, like Abby Grashar, they're going to have to start to get used to finding other ways to get people out too, because I've talked to, we've had pitchers. I don't know if you've kept up with my series this summer, Living the Dream, talking to softball players that have gotten through their college career and talking about their journey. But we've had a couple of pitchers on, and they've said that, like, hey, I struck out 500 people in high school, but I got to college and it felt like I couldn't strike out 2 in a game because it was just that high level. It was such a jump, and you had to get used to that. So if she does, those players will get their strikeouts. They're still good. They have good movement. They have good stuff, but they're not going to get 18 in a game every time out like they do in high school. This is not going to happen.
Yeah. So you think,
pitching,
basically
the pitching gap's hard. I think it's one of the hardest transitions from high school to college in all of sports, actually. I think it's right up there with trying to be a quarterback at the next level.
When you say figuring out other ways to get hitters out, did you I kind of had a brain lapse there. Did you mean because like so many of the elite pitchers are so good at striking out, but because the field's more even, do you think it's more important, especially with injuries we've seen in baseball too? Do you think it's more important to maybe get outs, like pitch to not have quite as many strikeouts, but make them like hit it, try to make them anyway to like hit it into the ground.
I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with avoiding injury. I don't think strikeout pitchers are more prone to injury because they're throwing harder or anything. But I think it is just because, for example, you're playing a high school team. Like, let's say Fitch versus I'm just throwing a team out there. This is no slight to anybody, but Fitch versus Howland, right? And you're going up against one of Howland's hitters. And maybe you have runners on first and second. You've walked a couple hitters and you really need it out. Well, right now, Sidney Watts can just go 67, 67, 67, 3 pitches, strikeout, we're done. Let's get out of the inning. You go up against Florida State, all of a sudden in the ACC, got 2 on with 2 outs. You're not going to just be able to throw rise balls in the strike zone, strike out, boom, 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 you're out of there. Yeah. It's not going to work like that. You got to be able to work the pitch sequence. Okay, I'm going to hit this pitch. I'm going to set up this pitch on the outside corner, right? So I'm going to throw her outside, see what she does with that, see what she tries to do. Like, you don't really have to do that too much in high school. You don't have to read the hitter too much. You don't have to try to break down their swing. You don't have to – in high school, a lot of the time, like I know some coaches might not like this because it kind of – but a lot of the time in high school, it's here's my velocity. You can't hit it. There you go. It doesn't really matter where I put it. Like, I'm just going to put it in anywhere you can't hit it, right? So the reality is in college, you're going to go and you're going to have to really, 1, pinpoint your pitches, and then 2, be very strategic about where you're putting them and when you're putting them. And that's what goes into all these great college pitching coaches and the catchers that you're going to be working with and the technology you're going to have to help you do that. But it's a lot bigger than high school. Like, it's the reality.
Yeah.
You might need to have the ball in the strike zone on the like lower inside corner and say, hey, you might be able to hit this, but you're not going to hit it hard and it's going to be a ground out, But like, you go up with 2 on, 2 out, and this girl with 2 strikes, let's say you have 2 strikes on someone that's in Florida State's lineup. Let's say like they're a leadoff hitter, right? Or I just interviewed Devin Flaherty, for example. So let's just say, even though she graduated from Florida State this year, let's just say you're going up against Devin Flaherty, right, with two strikes, 2 outs. Her job is to not strike out, put the ball in play. So it's going to be really hard to get a strikeout in that situation. So if you're in there just trying to force a strikeout, that's usually when you give up the big hit, because you're trying to, okay, I got to get this in the zone because I got to get the strikeout. Oh, I left it right in the middle of the plate. Devin just hit me for a double. But it works in high school.
Instead of maybe thinking of it, I'll get
instead
this.
Of purely thinking
where I can.
Instead of purely thinking where are the holes in this specific player's swing, where can I attack them to really get them out? There's not like in-depth scouting in high school where you can do that, but you have to do it in college because they're good enough where if you hit it in their spot, they're going to hit you. They're not going to be blown by you. They're not going to be lost in the batter's box. They're going to know what to do with the pitch that you leave in the strike zone. So you got to be able to really analyze and understand what a hitter's doing and where their holes are in their swing, and then attack that with really good accuracy, or you're not going to survive as a college pitcher. And you don't have to do that hardly at all in high school. There's no once again, no slight to high school coaches out there, but there's no coach out there in high school that's breaking down hours of game tape on other teams' hitters looking for holes in their swing to attack. Because usually with a pitcher of that caliber, Sidney Watts, Gabby Gradishar, Melina Toth, you don't need that in high school. You can go out there and just say, hey, I need you to throw a rise ball right here, and I need to get out of the zone, and she's going to swing and miss. And that's about all you need to know, that she will swing at that pitch. Doesn't matter exactly where you put it, just put it somewhere out of the zone. She'll swing and miss at that pitch. And that's the end of the conversation. But in college, it's like, okay, but if you put this high and out, she will go after it and probably take it opposite field. But if you put it right over her hands inside a rise ball, that she'll probably swing and miss at. But that's the stuff that you don't have to be that detailed in high school. So it's really hard for a lot of pitchers to transform into someone that can be that strategic and that on point.
Yeah, and I'm sure. I mean, maybe not as much at that level, but because it's a lot of it is they're premier athletes, and it's not just what they can do. It's they're good in a number. It's the versatility too. So I'm sure when you get 2 strikes on some elite hitter, for you mentioned Florida State earlier, I would guess a lot of times they're doing everything they can and not to just put the ball in play, put stress on the defense. So they're probably choking up there
And
too.
look, they're fouling off pitches that a lot of high school hitters will swing and miss at. Like they're just fouling it off. They're saying, okay, bring it in the zone. I'll foul this pitch off. I'll foul off this rise ball. I'll foul off this changeup. I'm not saying that these elite hitters never strike out, because that's ridiculous. You will get your strikeouts. You will get them. But it's just, you're not going to rely on it anymore. You're not going to get 18 strikeouts a game and say, all right, we did it. We're done. And all those girls that I mentioned in high school had plenty of games where they were able to do that. So you just got to be able to adjust to the fact that they're going to be able to hit you, and you have to find ways to say, okay, they're going to hit me, but they can't hit me hard. And that's going to be your spin. That's going to be your location, pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah, that's
And
very.
the other thing is, like with the rise ball, not to interrupt you, but with the rise ball pitchers, that something else you have to adjust to with Melena and Sydney, who both have really good rise balls, you're going to give up home runs. Like it's going to happen. I'm not saying that Sid never gave up a home run in high school, but I think she gave up like maybe 4 or 5 so far in her career. Like you will probably give up that and more in a season, because rise ball pitchers just tend to give up more home runs than not. Because if you catch up to a rise ball and you get a piece of it, it's really easy to hit out of the ballpark. It's kind of like your fastball pitchers in baseball. If you leave a fastball anywhere that's hittable, it doesn't matter how fast you're throwing it, these guys are going to catch up to it and hit it out of the ballpark. So same thing with your rise ball pitchers. You're going to give up home runs. It's going to happen. You have to be able to deal with that and mentally move past it. You can't let one home run in the game turn into 3 because you couldn't get past the first one you gave up, because you're not used to giving them up.
And with the I guess it would be with the you see that rise ball coming and you make the contact, like if it's high, let it fly. And
look, it's already coming in with backspin, right? And that's what you want to do as a hitter. You want to put backspin on the ball to get it out of the park. So when it's already coming in with backspin with a rise ball to go up, if you just get on top of that ball, you're going to put backspin on it and smoke it out of the park.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting, and I don't think it's too complex what you're saying, but it's really fascinating, especially hearing from somebody who's interviewed so many people and made so many great connections in softball. It's because you think about it like, oh, this area, we're just loaded with the pitching. But then you get into college and it's like it's not that you still can't succeed. What you're saying, Anthony, is that margin of error is just
it's small. It's tiny. I mean,
yeah.
It's like if you're Sidney Watts, you're going up against 9 Sidney Wattses on the other end of the field.
That's a big jump, but
yeah, I know you're super unique in most of these communities. You're super, like Sidney Watts is once in a lifetime here, but then when you get to Georgia Tech, it's like most of the pitchers in that staff can do what you can do. You're gonna play pitchers that can do what you can do. You're not superly like way up here while everyone around you is down here anymore.
Yeah, it's more of a level,
even ground. It's more
yeah,
even. Like you can still be a little bit better than them. You're still going to be a little bit better than a lot of people, but it's not like this anymore.
It's not a big gap.
Right.
But
Scotty, I think we're out of time. You got me on softball, man.
Yeah,
you got me. What a great conversation. Anytime you ask me about softball, it goes way into. I could talk forever. I love that.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's always really riveting for me. So thank you.
We have to say goodbye for this episode. We'll be back tomorrow with, for you softball fans, another Living the Dream segment with another great player from the college softball ranks. Don't miss that tomorrow. Scotty, you'll be back next week on Wednesday, 1 to 2 as well. Running Point always brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I hope you have a great evening, and we'll see you all tomorrow.